We got one ringy dingy. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. But get a new line. You have 2 rings. Ringy dingy. Oh man. I like to ringy your dingy sometime.
Is this Bob Halloran?
Yes, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
All right, so you're here with Jimmy Myers and myself, and your voice is also being heard at the Knobscot Cafe over the internal public address system. So just think, it's almost like you're the voice of God, almost being the key phrase there, Bob.
That's very exciting.
I knew you would be. So Jimmy just made an interesting point. I want to bounce it off you about between good teams and bad teams. I happen to think now that the AFC East might be better than many people think it is. However, good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose, and that's what happened with the Patriots and Jets on Thursday night. Agree, disagree? What's your feeling about that?
Well, if you're going to go on that specific game, I would say the better team won. I don't know that it falls into that category that good teams find a way to win because, the Patriots are simply a better team who played poorly.
Right. Hang on, Jamie, we need a headset. I bought one for Jimmy. I just want you to know. Oh, there it is.
It was sabotage. It's all right.
It's all right.
What did he say? So tell me.
Oh, now I have to remember what he said?
Yeah, well, fine.
I didn't take notes on it.
You have one.
You're tapping me on the shoulder. Bob's talking to me. You're right. I heard what you said. The Patriots played well enough to win because they're a better team. Is that pretty much, did I just sum that up properly?
Mm-hmm.
I think you did very well with that. You did it in 8 words. It took me about 120.
Well, that's one of the things I try to do, you know? All right, now, well, you got to pick the right ear. No. It's the ear that you can actually, Bob, say hello.
No, I don't hear.
Well, he hasn't said anything yet. Bob.
Hello.
I'm here.
Okay.
No. I hear you fine. Of course you do. All right. So now Jimmy Myers can hear you too, as I can, and we're good to go. Quarterback gets far too much credit and far too much attention. That is the nature of the business and the position. However, I really believe that Tom Brady showed the world again in his 3rd game in a row that he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Agree? Not agree?
Yeah, I think Tom Brady's still one of the best quarterbacks in the game because he reads the defenses the best and still can get the ball. And understanding this whole thing about Tom Brady's window being narrowed and closing for the past year or 2, and he's still got several more years to play. And yet we're not really talking about the window closing of Peyton Manning, who had neck fusion surgery 2 years ago.
Twice.
Came back and is playing at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
I think quarterbacks can age fairly well and still be elite. And Brady, well, he didn't have an offensive line and got off to a slow start early in the year. Ended up falling down the rankings, but when he has time and has an offense, he can still lead as well as the top 10. I'm not going to put him in the top 5 right now, but we'll see how the season plays out.
Well, I think that's still a basis of NFL play. If you can protect your quarterback, he can be a mediocre quarterback and still look better than he is. I mean, the classic example to me now is I'm looking at Andy Dalton from Cincinnati, Bob. He had another subpar game yesterday. Now, this is a Cincinnati team. Yes, they will say they didn't have A.J. Green and he didn't have his key weapons, but he just played lousy. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when the Patriots played Cincinnati. I said Cincinnati has a tendency to come up flat in big games. I don't know if it's Marvin Lewis. I don't know if it's his staff. But they just don't play well in big games. And I find that to be a major, major problem because they just gave this guy huge money, and he's supposed to be their quarterback to take them to the Super Bowl. I don't see it. Do you?
No, and one of the things I'd say as you're speaking, though, is that how poorly Cincinnati has played makes me wonder how good the Patriots are. And that's because after that Kansas City debacle, everybody thought, okay, they need to right themselves. And, look how well they played against this very good Cincinnati team. And, of course, they beat Buffalo like they always beat Buffalo, and then they eked out a win against the horrible Jets. And so you're looking at a team that's, 5-2, and that's pretty good. But I'm still looking at games against Oakland and Minnesota and, the loss against Miami. And I'm thinking, they haven't proven anything yet, and that's why Jimmy Young is talking first about how well Brady can play still.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still
I'm
have to
still
see.
looking at their competition, and I want to see how they can handle this next 6-game stretch that they've got.
Well,
so what do you think?
Out of that,
You got 6 games, and everybody's talking about 6 games. What are you expecting? 3-3, 4-2, 2-4? Dare I say
3-3 means that they're 3-3. Jimmy means they're a playoff team, and one and done or whatever. It doesn't mean they're a Super Bowl contender. I would say the same on 4-2. You go 5-1.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, you're right back where I think a lot of people put the Patriots at the beginning of the year. They thought the Patriots were Super Bowl contender in the AFC, and then take your bets against the NFC. But that weak start changed everybody's opinion, and I'm suggesting that based on a 3-game winning streak, a lot of opinions have changed back. Not mine yet. I have to see what they can do against teams with winning records that are pretty solid, and it doesn't even start with the Bears.
Yep.
I say 3-4. I mean, even that isn't going to do a whole lot. Let's see what they can do against Denver and San Diego and some teams that have put up some numbers and have quarterbacks that you have to worry about.
Indianapolis. You got to look and see how they're going to match up with these teams, Bob. I'm talking about teams that can put points on the board with them, teams that have pretty decent defenses that can contain or at least keep them in the game. See, to me, I've been telling Jimmy from the beginning, the book is completely out for me as far as this Patriot team is concerned. I just don't think they're that strong. I really don't. If they make the playoffs and they're a one and done, if they make the playoffs and they get the opportunity to get a home field game, okay. But is this the team I want to take on the road? Now you lose Mayo. Now you lose, you're losing key people. You lose Mayo on defense, who's your leading tackler. You lose Ridley on your offense, and it's the offensive line is still shaky to me. So I'm in. It's not that we're agreeing. I just have my own opinion. I've said it from the beginning. I just don't think this team is that good. I just don't. I think Brady,
I know, and we focus a lot about the offense and whether Brady still has it. Does he have the weapons? Can the line protect him? Things like that.
That's what I'm worried about.
The defense is the biggest problem. The defense has faced guys like Geno Smith and Ryan Tannehill and these mid-level to below average quarterbacks.
Yep.
And they're giving up yards. And they're giving up points. They're giving up 200 yards rushing.
Big yards.
The Patriot defense is not what we thought it might be when they got Darrelle Revis. And therefore, the offense needs to compensate or overcompensate for that, and that's where I'm not sure the Patriots are good enough when they start facing solid competition, because right now it feels to me like Peyton Manning is going to put up 42 points on this defense, and this Patriot offense can't respond to that. So the defense has to at least start knocking teams down below 20 points so that the Patriot offense can perform at its best level.
Hey, Bob, you mentioned Revis. He's underachieved so far this season. I mean, if you look at the impact that Aqib Talib had on the defense when he was healthy and playing for the Patriots versus where Revis is now and the impact that he's had, Talib has got him beat. I mean, the defense played better. The Patriots defense played better when Talib was in the lineup.
And credit also, before you answer, think about what Talib has done for Denver's defense.
Oh, my goodness.
How much better he's made their defense before. And you got to give T.J. Ward credit, too. The safety back there backing you up is not bad. But I think it's a little unfair, Jimmy, because I think you're asking something of Revis. He's shutting down his part of the field. But he's a cornerback. He's a defensive back. Defensive backs aren't going to turn teams around. Your linebackers are what's going to turn a team around. Those are the key guys on the defense to me.
Yeah, but if you shut down a wide receiver, that opens up space more for the linebackers, too. And you can get cover sacks a lot easier if you have better cornerbacks.
You're running the ball, Jimmy, like Bob said before, once they're gouging you running the ball because your linebackers cannot stop the run, I don't care how well you cover or I don't care how long you cover, you're opening up plays down the field. Your thoughts, Bob?
I think you're right, and I think that Revis is part of the weakness against the run because he doesn't know how to make a tackle.
You got it.
And I tweeted early in the year, and it was mostly tongue in cheek, but it was a compliment to Revis based on what I'd seen in the preseason. I said that guy's not going to make an interception or a tackle all year because as I was watching him ISO'd, he had his man blanketed. There was no way any quarterback is going to throw to that side of the field the way he was playing in the preseason.
Yep.
Now, we're not seeing that same guy. And I thought that Revis, his biggest addition that he could make for this Patriot defense is that they don't have a single playmaker on the team. And as much as
Well,
you mentioned
who doesn't have a?
Mayo or something like
Hang on a second.
Hey,
Chandler Jones isn't a playmaker on defense?
No, I don't think he is. I think that around here in New England, we say things like, oh, Gerard Mayo and Dante Hightower and Chandler Jones and Vince Wilfork like it means something. These guys don't do anything out there. How good is Vince Wilfork if a team is rushing for 218 yards? How good is Chandler Jones if he makes a sack a game, but then we don't see him the rest of the time?
Music to my ears from an objective person and not a fan.
I'm a fan.
Who I try to tell him,
We're
Bob.
looking at Devin McCourty as a great player, a good player. This is a bunch of good defensive players. But when the Patriots were winning Super Bowls, they had Rodney Harrison and Teddy Bruschi and Richard Seymour and Ty Law
Spoiled.
and guys who made plays and ran balls back. This team is bend but don't break, and then they break. There is not a solid enough defense, and it's been that way for a really long time. It's been that way for about 7-8 years now.
Yep.
Right. Well, actually, we were talking about that, Bob, that the defense hasn't been able to make a key stop late in the game and go back even to that 18-1 season when they really tried to make a stop, almost did, and didn't, and it cost them an undefeated team. You know.
Yeah.
But it's
But
still
even
Go
that,
ahead, Jimbo.
to me, that was today's conversation about whether it was Manning and Brady and the whole bit. And I look at 2007, and Tom Brady became Peyton Manning that year because he didn't have a defense the same way that Manning didn't for years. When Tom Brady went back-to-back Super Bowls, Patriot defense was ranked 1 and 2 in all the main statistical categories. The same is true for Joe Montana when he was winning Super Bowls. And I don't understand why we don't talk about guys like Troy Aikman and Terry Bradshaw when we're going to talk about top quarterbacks, because they've won multiple Super Bowls. But we always know it was the Steel Kirkler, it was Franco Herrick, or it was Emmett
somebody just talking
like
about
that.
that?
It's
Bob,
you can't win without defense, and right now the Patriots don't have a good enough one.
See, it feels wonderful to hear. So I've been
We
talking
just said
about
that.
this before you got on the phone.
Brilliant minds.
It's still going to come down, Bob, to defense. And Tom Jackson, who was a pretty good defensive player in his day for the Denver Broncos, who's now ESPN commentator, he made a statement. He's made several statements, but one, he said the magic barometer is that 17 to 20 point barrier. If you're holding teams to 17 points in this league, which the Ravens are doing right now, which your better teams are doing right now, you don't have to worry. Because think about this. Denver laid it on the 49ers. Yes, they did. But people keep forgetting that, if memory serves me correctly, the 49ers scored how many points last night? 17? 17? And if Denver holds you to 17 points, believe me, Peyton Manning's going to get you 30 to 40. You can't beat them if that's the way the scenario is going to go. Whereas I look now, let's flip to Seattle for a second. With the Percy Harvin trade, you can talk about that in a second, but all that mess that's going on out there right now, all of a sudden, they went from the darlings of the NFL to now being a very vulnerable football team, because they are. They're not that good. And if Percy Harvin's being gone affects you that badly, and I'm sorry, that you lose to the Rams, although the Rams gave the 49ers all they could handle the first 10 minutes of the game last week. 14-0, and then they fell apart.
And the
but
Rams won
yesterday, they didn't fall apart.
Right.
The special teams, the gaff there. I mean, the things that championship teams just don't do, Bob. They just don't do.
6 games yesterday decided by 2 points or less. Does that say parity or putrid football, Bob? What do you think?
Well, more often than not, I think the NFL is closer to putrid, and that's because of the parity. We don't have the great teams that we used to have, and that gives every team a chance on any given Sunday.
Yep.
But Jimmy Myers, I'd ask you this question as far as when you say championship teams don't do this. That's exactly what I said when the Patriots lost to Kansas City. A championship team doesn't have that on their resume. And so that was when I started to look at the Patriots completely differently in terms of whether or not they could win a Super Bowl. I thought that was a bit of an aberration, that they're better than that, the whole bit and stuff, and that they can make the playoffs, they can make some noise, they can win their division. But there's no way to look back at all the Super Bowl champions of the past 20 years that they ever got their butt handed to them the way the Patriots did in that game. So
that was embarrassing.
I think that they had a long way to go.
Yep.
And I'm not convinced that Seattle is dead yet. I think
No, I'm not saying they're dead, but I'm saying they have major problems, Bob. They have major problems.
They
to
got
address.
problems, but I think they're going to get a wake-up call. This is that bit about where it's really difficult to repeat because you all get huge egos and you start taking things for granted.
And
you
money,
don't work
and
hard,
guys getting
money,
paid,
and
and guys thinking they're better than they are. Yep, you're right. Yep.
And now pride's going to take over, or it's not. But I think that they're going to have to look at themselves, and once they start playing at their best again, their best is still the best in the NFL. I think.
Maybe, but I'm still not convinced now because you lose to the Rams. You darn near lost last week. I mean, this is the team now because Russell Wilson said it last night. We'll find ourselves. But how many times, Bob, have we been in locker rooms and held microphones and heard guys say this? Oh, we're going to find ourselves. Don't worry. This is going to be fine. And then you start to see it slipping away. You start to see a 13-3 team drop to an 11-5 team or a 10-6 team. And all of a sudden now, Seattle's got to go on the road. They're not in Seattle with the 12th man anymore. See, they have to win the West, partner. Remember, and that's not going to be a cakewalk now. St. Louis, San Francisco.
If we want to pick apart Seattle just a little bit, and I'm with you on that, then we have to remember when Green Bay was slumping. We have to look at the Patriots. We have to look at every team in the NFL except probably Denver. And that's about it, because every team has had 1, 2, 3 games to this point where they haven't played well, or where they've struggled, or where they've lost. Mm-hmm. And so they've all got flaws, and that's that parity putrid thing. We can come right back to that.
Well, I still have the greatest laugh because I'll never forget Pete Rozelle, the long past former NFL commissioner. And I was there at the press conference when he talked about parity in the league one day. I said, did we have parity, P-A-R-I-T-Y, or do we now have parody, P-A-R-O-D-Y? And I think we're at the P-A-R-O-D-Y stage now, Bob. I mean, that's my thought, and I'm holding on to that one because what I'm seeing out there, this is not high-quality football. Perfect example. Let's take a look at what's going to happen Thursday. Here's a classic example of what I'm talking about.
I know.
You got a quick turnaround game for Denver against a San Diego team that Denver, in the last couple of years, has had fits with. They do not play well against this team. That game's in San Diego, right? If I'm right, that game is in San Diego.
I think it is in San Diego.
And if that game's in San Diego, now we'll find out how good Peyton Manning and them are, because they're going to have to put up some points. Because Antonio Gates kills them down the middle. He kills them down the middle. Now, TJ Ward, that defense is better. But we're going to find out. They're going to get tested this week, Bob. And my feeling is that on Thursday.
At Denver.
It's at Denver? Nah, they got a shot then. No problem. But if it's at Denver, I'm all right. But it's still going to be a game because San Diego just plays them real well. Now we're going to find out how good Denver really is, because what are they, 5-2, 6-1? You're fighting for that AFC West spot. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I like that parody bit there, and
you can use it tonight if you want, or tomorrow.
I will steal that. Because it's what I've said in the past, and it kind of ticked a lot of Patriot fans off at the time, and that is, if you have a lot of mediocrity in the league, and that's what their goal is, then you only have to be a little bit better than mediocre to be the Super Bowl champion.
You got it.
And I think that is a negative on the league, that when we want to look at greatness, we want to look at champions, we want to see 2 great teams battling it out, or maybe 8 great teams in the earlier rounds of the playoffs, and not knowing who can win and the whole bit. And instead, you've got like these middle of the pack type teams, and we're not seeing the same level of play.
No.
And we're also not seeing 72-0 college games either. So there's good and bad to it.
But think about this, Bob.
Well, hang on a second. I get to say a word here. Okay?
Excuse me. Calm down, Mr. Ego.
No,
Mr. Mr. Ego.
I'm Mr. Ego.
All you had to do is cop and remember.
I'm Mr. Ego.
We're on TV. Don't act silly. Just make your point. Get in and make your point, okay?
Is this Phillip Rivers MVP season? That's the question I want to know. 17 touchdowns, only 3 INTs, and he's...
No.
Well, okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
What do you think?
I'm saying no, Bob. You can say whatever you want to say.
Well, I'll tell you, San Diego is one of the biggest surprises to me this year, and the fact that he's playing as well as he is. But I'll admit to you, I hadn't considered an MVP candidate to this point, and I would not have put Phillip Rivers on the list. but you put him out there, and I go, all right, why not? We'll take a look at that. But, you know, at this point in the season, to me, there's Aaron Rodgers, there's Peyton Manning, there's, you know, Tony Romo, for crying out loud.
How about DeMarco Murray?
Andrew Luck.
DeMarco Murray, sure.
Andrew Luck.
Can I tell you, like, I'm a bit of a stat geek and stuff, and the idea that he's rushed in 100 yards or more in 7 straight games to open a season seems to be the most insignificant stat I've ever heard. And also a bit surprising. You know, it's like, really, nobody's ever done that? It doesn't seem like that big a deal. And so, you know, good for him. It's great. But 100 yards nowadays, I don't know. The kid back can do that in his sleep, I think.
Particularly and the way how the game is spread out. And you're running in between the tackles, and there's 5 or 6 in the box instead of 8. If I see 7 or 8 up there, we're throwing. If I see less than that, we're running. I mean, and remember, you're trying to. The one good thing about him, Bob, he was humble. Please don't even mention my name with Jim Brown. Don't even mention my name with him.
But then you think to yourself, Jim Brown didn't do that like 8 times in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I sit back and listen to all this gibberish, and I just laugh. But you mentioned Phillip Rivers. Still makes the big mistake. He made the big mistake against Kansas City yesterday. You know, he's not there. He can't be an MVP candidate unless they run on an 11-game winning streak or something, or they just run away with the AFC West. He's not that good a quarterback. Phillip Rivers has started to develop in the last couple of years, Bob, but he still makes critical mistakes in the big moments of games. He has not won that premier game where he's going to put you into the AFC Championship, which they were a couple of years ago, but that was LaDainian Tomlinson. That was the team. You think, as you mentioned, I consider him as an MVP. When I'm looking at Rodgers and I'm looking at these guys, I don't even put Phillip Rivers better than Stafford from Detroit. I don't put him better than Colin Kaepernick from San Francisco. And I definitely don't put him better than Joe Flacco from Baltimore.
No, Jimmy, I think that you're right in a general sense, what we know of these guys and their careers at this point. But if you look at them over the first half of this season, then he's better than those guys you just mentioned.
I don't think so. You need to look, because I'm
telling you better than them.
I'm telling you right now, Bob, the Ravens are a team that everybody better be keeping their eyes on. I'm telling you, they do not want to play these guys.
No.
Their defense is rounded where they want it, and now they have a deep threat in Steve Smith on the flank along with Torrey Smith. No. This is not a team that people want to match up with, Bob Halloran. You just don't want to play them. And Flacco, he's proven he can win.
You're talking to me a little bit about Denver, Baltimore, San Diego. Where do you put the Patriots in the AFC?
I don't put them. Okay, you mentioned 3.
They're in the top 5.
Why?
They're in the top 5.
Why?
Why?
Go ahead. Why? Just give me. Okay, who's your top 5 then?
All right, so
I'm glad you asked that question, Bob. Go ahead.
Denver, Baltimore.
Yep.
I still think San Diego's got to be considered until Thursday night.
Even if you want to give them San Diego, go ahead with San Diego.
And the Patriots are in there. And wait, now I'm going to go to my notes because I had the power.
Not a problem. I don't need to go to notes because I know what my eyes have seen. But go ahead.
I think the Colts.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Colts better. Kansas City, if they play them again in Kansas City, no.
No, but they're not going to play them in Kansas City.
Excuse me, you don't know that.
No, I don't know that.
You don't know that?
You're right, I don't know that.
There's no guarantee that that's not going to happen.
Correct.
I'm saying, like Bob said earlier, when are they going to go on the road and have to win those tough road games against a Baltimore, against Indianapolis?
Well, they
have them on their field. They're supposed to make it a game or win.
Well,
but what I'm saying is, once you get to the playoffs, if they evade the wild card game, Bob, and they get the second round on their field, it's still going to be AFC Championship game, more than likely, on one of those 4 other teams' fields. Now, are they good enough to go in those places and win with it on the line? Not unless they play out of their absolute ever-living minds.
Well, I think they're going to get better, too.
I agree with you, but even with that, you're putting them in the AFC Championship game.
I'm not. I'm saying if they got there. I'm saying even if they got there. I'm not putting them in that game.
All right, everybody, both you guys, time out. I get to say something. All right? If the Patriots play host to the AFC Championship game, does that not change the equation?
Well, the main reason for that, Jimmy, not only that it's a home game, but somehow or another they earned it. And if they did that by going 13-3 or 14-2, I'd say, yeah, that changes everything.
Yeah,
Right. And
but
by
you're
the
still
way,
going to
they
need two
can.
upsets in there. You're going to need some
Absolutely.
upsets in there for that to happen, Bob.
It could still
Right,
happen.
they're going to have to go 5-1 over these next 6.
Yep.
And then close it out strong and play games at home during the playoffs. I just don't know that it's possible, and I just don't know that it's probable. Because I don't think they're as good as San Diego right now. I don't think they're as good as Denver. I think they could struggle against Chicago. I mean,
I do too. 'Cause I think Chicago's
they just
going to
struggled
be.
against the Jets,
Yeah.
and Chicago's better than them.
And I think
So-
Chicago is hot from losing that game yesterday.
They are very
and they're going
upset.
to come in here angry.
And
They're
they've
gonna
won
say, look,
more
we gotta
road
go
games.
play.
They've won
You know.
more road games
Yeah.
than they have home games, the Bears.
We
But I
got
still
to
think the
start
Patriots,
because
Patriots will win.
I heard them almost tore the locker room apart yesterday. They're saying, look, we got to start playing. I mean, this is getting serious. These fans are ready to burn the stadium down yesterday. We lose to Miami. Miami? I mean, they were like, we're 3-4.
Yeah,
Now-
who loses to Miami?
yeah. What,
Yeah.
What does that say? Exactly.
In the first game of the year on the road. Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
But
hey, Bob, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule now that you're a full-time guy on Channel
I'm
5.
very busy. I'm so busy. Today I played golf, exercised, and watched my daughter swim.
Excellent. That's a good day.
Life is really tough being a full-time guy.
That's a good. You'll be ready for an Uggs commercial before you know it. You know.
That's good, though. But thanks. I enjoy this conversation, too.
Always, and you are
This was
welcome
fun.
out here any Monday, of course,
This was
and
fun.
just let me know because I know that the two of you guys could go at it, and I'll just referee. It'll be fun.
God bless you,
All
my
right,
friend. Listen,
sounds
Bob,
great.
before you go, one final question, because this one still sticks in my craw. For all the times that I've heard that Notre Dame has gotten all these breaks over the years, Notre Dame, it was a Notre Dame call. What the heck do you think happened in Tallahassee on Saturday night? If that, now let's flip the script before you answer. Let's say that's Florida State driving down the field, and they score that touchdown with 30-something seconds left to play. Do you honestly think the referees would have had the courage to make that call?
That's exactly what I thought when they
Thank
made
you.
the call.
Oh,
There's
man.
no way
No.
they do
Wow.
that if teams
Oh.
are reversed. There's no way. And quite honestly, and I'm not a referee. I see what I see, and my experience tells me some things. I didn't think it was a legit call anyway. Most of the people I follow on Twitter say, well, at least it was a pick, it was interference, and you hate to see a call made like that. And I'm going, I didn't really see it. I saw
No,
a crowd
I
of
didn't
guys
either.
running together, and one guy being wide open to the right-hand side. So I thought it was a bad call. The worst of homerism, and you're right. When you talk about courage, there's no way they do that if Florida State is scoring game-winning touchdown.
No, but think about
That's
this.
right.
Think about this, though, Bob. Here's another key point, too. People keep forgetting Florida State blew the coverage. They blew the coverage. Don't referees, I don't need you to help them. David Robinson's son, Corey, was wide open. They called the play, they had it right, and all of a sudden you come up. If you want to make that call, why haven't they made that call in the whole game? Florida State was doing the same thing. Florida State was setting picks. They were running two guys and freeing one. And you wait to get to an exciting game, which clearly, Bob, and I'm not a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame outplayed them. They outplayed them for most of the game. And to take it away from those young guys like that, that it just sickens my stomach when I think of college football that it reaches that level, because that's like money. That's like a whole bunch of money on the table. We want to keep Florida State in the Final Four. We want to keep these guys here, and so forth and so on, because their defense got gashed. Notre Dame gashed their defense.
I don't usually like to go to the officials are in the bag kind of a thought, and the conspiracy and the whole bit.
I worried about that one.
But that one, I don't know if I was ever going to go there. That one was really suspicious. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, man.
Who gets paid more, the players or the referee? Ooh, sorry, neither one. Anyway, hey, Bob, as always,
Bob,
I enjoy
you.
your comments and enjoy your family, and we'll see you soon.
Good. Talk to you later.
God bless. Stay safe.
All right, bye-bye.
That's Bob Halloran from Channel 5, WCVB TV, and I'm going to do that, and there it goes. That's magical. We can phone calls. Anybody want to make a phone call? No, I'm only kidding. 508-909-5962. That's 508-909-5962. That is the number to call. Joe, don't call the number. Although it might be funny, actually. People in
At
the
least we'll know
audience.
whether it works or not.
That's
we
right.
have somebody making a 6-foot phone call.
That's right. He's
literally
right there.
6 feet away.
We
But
can
think
get the
about-
tin can out.
Think about